Hello everyone, Beard Reads Books here, back for another book review, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing Prince Caspian, part of the Chronicles of Narnia series. I think this was the second book written, but it's the fourth book in chronological order. So yeah. Now, for those of you that don't know what the stories are about, basically Prince Caspian, he's the rightful heir to the throne of Narnia, but his uncle, the King Miraz, Miraz has sort of kind of taken control of the throne, and he doesn't want to give it to Prince Caspian, doesn't want to let Caspian have what's rightfully his. So there's going to be a bit of confrontation between the two, bit of a battle. And during the battle, Prince Caspian manages to summon Peter, Edmund, Susan and Lucy, the four characters from the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe story. Prince Caspian managed to summon them back to Narnia in order to help him claim what's rightfully his. So, and they also get a bit of help from Aslan as well. Aslan comes along and sort of helps them in the battle. So, and it finishes off with Prince Caspian naturally sort of rightfully claiming the throne, sort of taking what's rightfully his. So I mean that's the basic storyline, and it's not a bad little story. I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it quite as much as The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I don't think it's quite as good, but it's all right. There was some little niggles that I had with the story. For example, I mean, with Peter, Susan, Lucy and Edmund. Now, in the Chronicles in the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe story, the four children, when they go to Narnia, they spend quite a long time there, a good 2 or 3 decades or so, roughly, something like that. Can't often remember exactly how long they're in Narnia. Suffice to say, they're in Narnia long enough to become like fully grown up, they're adults. And then at the very end of the story, they sort of come back to England through the wardrobe. And when they return to England, even though they've been in Narnia for a good couple of decades or more, coming back to England, hardly any time's passed whatsoever, and they sort of come back as children. So immediately it's thumping great big piece of evidence that time in Narnia runs differently to time in England. And then at this Prince Caspian story, the book starts off with the four children, Peter, Lucy, Susan and Edmund, and they're set, like they're going back to school. It's a year later, sort of a year after Adventures in Narnia. So a year in which they've had time to sort of like ponder the fact that time runs differently in Narnia to England. But when they return to Narnia, I mean, in theory, they should immediately be thinking, well, okay, so time runs differently. We're back in Narnia, so we're probably going to be many hundreds and hundreds of years in Narnia's future. I mean, in the storyline, it does state that it's many hundreds of years after they were last there. So, in theory, they should automatically work out that they're sort of many hundreds of years in the future. But they don't. To start with, they're acting as though they've returned to Narnia at pretty much the same time they left. And it's only when they come up to the ruins of Cair Paravel, the castle where they ruled from during the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, that it suddenly starts to dawn on them that they're many hundreds of years in Narnia's future. And yeah, that niggled me quite a lot. As I was reading it, I was sort of thinking, well, they should have worked out straight away. They should have known the second they return to Narnia that they're going to be in Narnia's future. So why is it taking them so long to work it out? It just, yeah, that nickled me quite a bit. And another slight little niggle I had with it was when Aslan first made an appearance, that to begin with, only Lucy could see Aslan. So she was the only one that could see him to begin with. And when she was telling the others, Edmund's attitude was, well, she's, he kind of believed her. He's like, well, she's been in this situation before where she's sort of seen things and all the rest. And he's like, his attitude was, I can't see Aslan myself, but Lucy can. And based on previous exam experiences and like what's happened, I'm going to believe Lucy. But Peter and Susan, on the other hand, they were like, oh, well, we can't see Aslan. We can't hear Aslan. You're making it up, Lucy, and I was just thinking to myself, that seemed a bit out of character for Peter and Susan. I mean, considering all the experiences that they'd gone through, I was thinking to myself, why are they being so disbelieving of Lucy in this story when she's saying she can see Aslan? It just didn't make sense. I mean, yeah, it seemed a bit out of character. I mean, I could see why C.S. Lewis wrote it that way, because obviously Peter and Susan, and they disbelieved Lucy because she'd seen Aslan, and Aslan was wanting her to sort of follow him and go the right way. And Peter and Susan, they were like, oh no, we can't see Aslan, we don't believe Lucy, we're going to go our way, which turned out to be the wrong way. And of course, Aslan is allegory for sort of like God. And it was C.S. Lewis's way of kind of saying, if you follow Aslan, God, you're going to be going the right way. But if you go your own way, you're going to go the wrong way, So, and he was trying to sort of make the point, you're trying to highlight what happens if you try and go your own way instead of following God's way, kind of Aslan's way. So I could see why he wrote the story the way he wrote it. I could see the point he was trying to make. But to do it in such a way that Peter and Susan were acting out of character, it niggled me a little bit, that. So, so this isn't without its weak points. There's some little niggles there. But I mean, one thing I did like about this book, some of their characters have got really excellent names, really cool names. For example, Reepicheep the mouse. That's a pretty cool name, I think. I just know that tickled me, that did. And there's also one of the dwarves, Knickerbrick. I mean, how cool a name is that for a dwarf? Knickerbrick the dwarf. I like that so much. That really tickled me. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's an all right little book. But, I liked it more than book number 3, The Horse and His Boy. But definitely not as strong as the first 2 books, The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It makes quite a nice little follow-on from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It's not too bad a follow-up, but I wouldn't rave too much about it. So, I'd probably give it about 6 or 7 out of 10, something like that. So yeah, it's all right. Nothing to get excited about, but not too bad. I've read worse books. One thing I would, one little passing comment I would make about this book is there are some points where the language is a bit old-fashioned, the old-fashioned writing. So younger readers, sort of younger children reading this book, there might be parts of it that they might struggle with because it's old-fashioned style of writing. So if you're getting this book for like a younger child that's got quite a young reader, that's something that might be worth bearing in mind, that some really younger readers might struggle a little bit with some of it. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. So yeah, I'm gonna bring this video to an end now. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching, and if you've read the book, I'd like to let me know what you thought of it if you've read it. So drop me a comment and tell me what you thought. And if you've read the first 3 books as well as this one, where would you rank this one out of the first 4 books? I mean, my current ranking, I'll probably put Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe first, Magician's Nephew of exceedingly close second. I'd rank this one third, and The Horse and the Boy I'd rank 4th. That's how I personally would rank it out of the first 4 stories. So if you've read the first 4 stories, how would you personally rank them? Yeah, so drop me a comment. Let me know what you think, what your ranking would be. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. And in the meantime, take care.